Welcome back to Blackacre Ranch, everybody. All right, today is another day of projects, and this is going to actually be Thanksgiving week. There's just a number of projects that have to get done before the buffalo are worked, including welding, finishing this well house. We need to get pressure pump, booster pump installed, or pressure tank, I should say, and we have to get piping done. So we have to get all that done, and we are going to use our trusty little ditch witch that we got ourselves today, rented, to get taken care of. So stick with us and we'll fill you on some details. Alright guys, so if you're familiar with the channel, you know we have a rainwater collection system that comes off this 6,000 square foot pavilion, okay? This is where we have our gravity fed tanks so far, which feed pastures 6 and 7. The issue that we're going to have is that we need actually to be able to get piping to all the other areas. And so we have our yearlings, our buffalo that are over here in 2.5 acres. They need water. The pigs have been needing water. And we have to get all the way to the other side to be able to get water to all of our little yearling pens, pens A, B, C, the handling facility, all that jazz. So what we're going to start with here is our gravity fed system. And that's from these guys. Right now we have pipe that goes into the ground and it feeds all the way out to our little pasture 6 and 7 over here. I am going to try a mixture of pressure from electric, pressure system, and also still continuing a gravity fed system. So we actually have two different pipe routes that we have to do. If you're going to ask, why try and still do gravity fed, partly it's because I don't have to worry about electric. All right, so here on a map you'll see like the property, and on this property we have what are going to be pastures 1, 2, and 3 to the north and a little bit of the west of the property. Pastures 6 and 7 are on the south, and pastures 5 and 4 are on the right hand side on the east. The 2.5 acres is on the west. So if there was a divide, the roadway for the property kind of separates pastures 1, 2, and 3 and the 2.5 acres from 4, 5, 6, and 7. So since we already have 6 and 7 done, what we're going to do is have a gravity fed system feed the 2.5 acre pasture and also one down on the far west side, and be able to actually have a gravity fed system somewhere on the north and west side. 6 and 7 are over here with 4 and 5 on the east and south side. So it's really sharing that no matter what, if I have buffalo on either side of the road or the structures, I have a gravity fed system independent of all electric that can operate. Everything else needs to be off of a powered system off the well house. So right here's the well house, and what we're doing is we're going to have the booster pump and the well pressure tank. So the booster is going to take it from the black tank here, and it's going to pull it and push it into the pressure tank. That is then going to feed all the other pastures besides the gravity fed ones. So we're going to actually run a tank or a piping out up on this side up in here, and it's going to come and go straight back this way to the little house way out there. Okay, on the way we're going to drop some spigot spots so we can put some faucets, probably here by the pavilion, other side of the pavilion, maybe down by the house as well. We're then going to come from the black tanks, same trench, and we're going to work our way back this direction down the hill where the yearlings are and pop in some spots over there. So between here, we're going to share a trench going opposite directions. These guys are going to pressure feed back that way, and we're going to have to lay about 1,100 feet of pipe. I can't remember where I'm at now. It's around 1,000 to 1,400, somewhere like that, feet of pipe. So I'm going to stick my brother on this task when he gets here, and we're going to go ahead and use this ditch witch and get all of this done. So let's check out the tool. So this is the ditch witch, okay? This is a trencher, all right? There's different ways you can create holes in the ground or for trenches. We all are probably pretty familiar with them. You can use a shovel. That's like succubus, man. Totally not my cup of tea. The other way is, people get these backhoes that put on these tractors, and you can get a backhoe, a Mini X, whatever it is. Backhoes on tractors are, like, in my opinion, one of the worst attachments you can ever put on a tractor, okay? Most people aren't going to use a backhoe that much. They're like $15,000, $20,000 to put on a backhoe on the back of a tractor. They're a pain in the butt to put on, take off. If you're going to be using $15,000 to $20,000 worth to put that on, just go rent a mini excavator, or rent the trencher, okay? This is a ditch witch. This cost me like 200 bucks a day, all right? And this can actually move pretty quick. In our case, especially since most of the time we have pretty good soil for this. It's called sand. So anyway, it should fly through this pretty quick. Ditch witches, big motor, it's on a track. Ours is a 4-inch one, so the width here, 4-inch. Our pipe that we're gonna be laying down is only 1.25 inches, so if I have 2 runs right here shared, at most we're gonna have is not even 3 inches. So this should be fine, and if they're on top of each other, who cares? Anyway, this machine is very, very simple, okay? Each of these runs a track. The right one runs the right track, the left one runs the left track. You wanna go forward, you push them forward. You wanna go back, you push them back. Turn, you can go like this, like that. Super simple. Left-hand side gear, this raises and lowers your front arm. You pull it back to raise, you pull it forward to run, or to go down. So, and then to activate the chain, you just pull it back and you pull it forward and it'll go one direction. You go to the other side, it'll go back the other way. In operation, you're just gonna get it to where you want by slowly going and positioning where you need to. Put it down, you put this down, and when you're ready to start going, you pull this back and it starts going, and then you adjust your front, okay? It's not that hard. It's pretty simple. And then you're gonna be walking backwards. So that's not that bad. So it doesn't corner very well, you know, especially when you're down, but you just set the depth that you want. And we're probably, with our frost, which is like 6 inches at best, we'll probably go a foot, 1.5 feet, something like that. Try and keep it, you know, maybe 1.5 feet if we can. This is a path that my brother's gonna be trenching down from the trencher far over there. He's gonna be coming off those tanks and he's gonna be coming down this direction, okay? The exact path doesn't really make a difference for you guys right now, but I need to mark to him areas where I need him to put a T and to split and go a different direction. So that's what this wood is for. Primitive, whatever reason, it works. So one area is going to be the pigs.
If you're going to do gravity fed, this is the, yeah, down here's the more level part.
Right. All right, I think we're going to do it at the bottom. Now, I'm only going to have him go up to the fence about here. He doesn't have to get underneath it because we have the pigs there and so forth. I have to make sure that this drops down enough to be able to get past, or to get low enough to have the gravity fed system actually work. On the yearling side, we have our trough sitting over here. However, I want it to go down a little bit lower, and I'm not super crazed about this spot at all. So we're actually going to bring this one further down and around the corner. So let's go down there. Okay, we'll put our block here for the yearling. So here's the buffalo. These buffalo are going to get worked, hopefully this week, and they're not going to be here any longer. So I'm not super stressed about this one, but while we have the trencher, we're going to make sure that we leave a spot over here by this block. At a later date, sometime in the future, we can then bring the trencher or something inside and put another one over here. I have to do groundwork to level everything, and it's not prepped for all of that right now. So again, I just want to get it here, and then I'll worry about it later. But this isn't the last stop. We need to keep going down, all the way down here, because this is going to be another pasture, pasture 1. And like I said, I want 1, 2, and 3, those pastures, to be at least having some gravity fed option. So we're going to trek down here. The 2.5 acres is up the hill up there, and it slopes pretty heavy at times, and it starts coming down to here, and no part of this is actually flat. So I'm going to have to clear out a section here. This is in essence the driveway, so I'm going to pipe it right here, and eventually later on put a water trough. And this will be all actually part of pasture 1, because I'll put a gate up next to where Tommy's at, right there, as he's walking. This pipe's going to come down here, and probably come all the way over to here, right near this T-post. These are these marks, 3 spots: pig, yearling, and pasture 1 for a future trough. All right, back up top side by the pigs. This is probably going to be the worst spot of all of it to take care of. This concrete sidewalk is probably 4 feet wide probably. We've got to get underneath this guy. I don't have the time to deal with cutting it and trying to remove all the concrete and everything else. Hopefully the ground isn't too bad. We'll have to trench, and then poke holes, all right? So this is going to be the biggest struggle, I think, in the whole thing. All right, Aaron's down trenching. He's starting out way down at the bottom of pasture 1, which is down that first little section we went down and showed you. We've got pipe that's loaded up. We're just going to go ahead and drive this and start having him lay it out as he's doing it. So that way it's all prepped and ready to go along this entire length. After that, as he's doing this, we'll also have people down there putting on things, fittings, joining these things together. These have the bell ends with them. So like that, for example, that is the coupling at the end. These are 20-foot lengths, 1 1/4 inch PVC Schedule 40. So that's what we're using. We're gonna get this all going and kind of keep you tabs here and there. I have other projects to do. My brother's gonna be mainly doing this with my dad and miscellaneous kids, from piping, clearing, trenching, whatever, digging, all that jazz. So stick with us and we'll kind of fill you in as we go through and make some progress. All right, guys, we have finished a lot of this, okay? And I've struggled with how do I present this to you guys in a way that isn't like super boring. But, so we're gonna try and take this a piece at a time. I'm down here below the 2.5 acres. This is that first spot we got to. We've got a marker here on the ground. This is marking where the pipe went to, and we have filled in the entire trench. So all of this took 2.5 days. Filling the trenches took a little longer. We did not use a tractor. We just kind of went through and scraped the other stuff on the side. It just took a long time. So anyway, we've got this going all the way up. I think this is actually a pretty good spot to maybe just square up something and put a water trough just right here. I'm not too deep into the trees, and it won't be that bad right here. So anyway, let's go check out the other spots that we got. Yeah, so here's the 2.5 acres. So we just left it there. We did not actually go underneath any because of the buffalo being in here. And we're gonna have to pack this down a little bit better, but that's number 2. And the one up here is actually for the pigs, which we have still 3 little piggies. So you notice what we're trying to do is, like before we had this piece of wood there and those other 2, here we have a stick. We only came so far and we cap them. And so then we're just marking kind of where I have the end. So we've just teed these, we capped it. I am gonna come back later and just put like a shut-off valve and then run them into wherever they need to go. Yeah, so that's the pig's water, right? It gets more interesting up top, actually. And this spot at the top, we're finally here, was probably the funnest area to work with. This is getting under the concrete. This was the part that I was actually the most worried about. Being that this is kind of more of that lignite, harder ground, but also that's a pretty stout concrete slab and it's pretty wide. So Tommy made quick work of it, my nephew and my dad, and then they just slid them down through and connected everything up. So that was just a big part of a relief to me that it was just kind of done. Next part is we got over by the house, and really what you're gonna see from this is we just started putting spigots all the way down. And there's one spot actually down by the house. You can see my brother here, he's all just going through this stuff. The biggest struggle with a lot of it, why it took so much time, as you can see, is just he's getting these rocks out. And he's just fighting it. And after a while, just the rock doesn't spit out and he's gotta get down in there, he's gotta grab it, he's gotta take these things out. And it just takes time. And so he was fighting that a lot. But after he got past the spot he's at, and he starts working up the little hill down to pasture 5, things started picking up some speed. And it was a little bit quicker until you then hit another spot. You know, it was just pockets here and there. But anyway, let's go check out pasture 5 and see what that looks like. All right, so back over here by 6 and the handling facility. So this is where we dropped 2 lines. One was pasture 5 and one was here in the holding pen, the gathering pen, whatever you want to call it. Put a pipe right there. That's to mark my spot. We're going to put a water trough just inside here. It's going to be pressured, of course. So you can see this big white pipe hanging out way out in pasture 5. That is where we're going to be putting our water trough. So that's all marked, ready to go, and you know, all this is just ready for me to get to it. Once we got to this part, I wanted to put water over in the handling facility over by the squeeze chute. And actually this is easier for me to share it with you when I get over there, so let's get over there.
Hi, kisses. Hi. She's so good.
And she looks crazy good, actually. All right, so I'm going to take you down here. I just want to show you, this is where we branched off. Also, the reason I'm partly showing this to you is so I remember in the future I'll come back and watch this video, right? But this spot right here, we teed off and we went around and we're going over, and you can kind of see the white pipe hanging up down there by the fence. That's where we're going to right now. All right, so here we're at, right? The white pipe. So this spot, the reason I wanted to kind of just bring you here to tell you is I wanted a water spigot right there. For one, it can then service up here by the squeeze chute in case, I don't know, in case I wanted to have water up by the squeeze chute. I don't know. The other reason is we don't have another water spigot until you get to the middle of the little house, and there's not one here in this building. But what I want to do is make an incinerator to burn all my trash, and I'm going to put it right over here. Right about where that pile is, I'm going to make this, it might be a pretty big incinerator. So with all having the incinerator right here that's going to get smoking hot, in case there's fires, because I'll probably do something stupid, I want to have a little water spigot right there. So I don't know, guys, it's almost done. What we ended up doing actually is we went over and bought another, gosh, how many pieces of pipe was it? Just over, it was 1,500 feet more pipe from this spot to go out northward through pin A, B, C, and then even at the top of C to go extend further into new pasture 4. So we've got pasture 5 that has water, and pasture 4 way out there will have water. We just got a couple fences to do in there, right? Just a couple, right? But anyway, that's all the pipe we have left, and I think I counted it up. We came out to be about 2,400 feet of trench and pipe that was glued and everything. So I really appreciate my brother and his son coming out here. His couple sons have come out. We had a lot of projects over Thanksgiving, and it was just one that never would have gotten done if they weren't here. And I think it makes a really big difference. So we're waiting on some stuff to happen with the well house. We're gonna have an update on that coming up soon. But a pump system to try and get pressurized water in here and start working on some of these troughs. All right, so my wife wants to join along with us. So anyway, did you have any words?
So maybe it's kind of weird or scary to be like, I can't rent a trencher, but I want to say that renting a tool and getting that project done in a day and a half of trenching, really, if all that trenching was just timed in one time, it would have only taken a day to do all that hundreds of feet. So it was really great and super useful. And then we also got to return it and not have to pay for the whole machine. So it was really good. And don't be afraid of renting a tool.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, these machinery can be kind of scary or daunting or just kind of overwhelming to think, wow, you know, an excavator or a whatever, a trencher. So it makes it a lot easier than doing it by shovel or any other way. And I'll tell you what, that trencher is way faster than a backhoe on the back of a tractor and a lot cheaper. And 2-day rental is $400 to get this all done. And we did, like I said, like 2,400 feet of pipe. We hope you guys are enjoying your time. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll catch you next time. Remember to like and subscribe. See ya. Bye.